there is such movement in the consciousness. It's so much more than it used to be. And so many people are understanding so many things they didn't used to understand. And with understanding, we mean they see things for what they are, things that were previously hidden or simply kept away from the eye.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of New Earth Awakening. Today I am thrilled to welcome Gérard. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Carol, and I'm so pleased you invited me for this interview.
So your surname, is it Balvert?
Well, here in France it is Balvert. Originally, as I'm from the Netherlands, it is Balvert, but I think Balvert is actually sounding better, and it is, I guess, originally a French name.
Oh, okay. So before we dive right into the countries you have lived in and all the experiences you have to share from this lifetime and others, would you please tell me first how you started on your path of awakening?
Well, I never specifically started. I was always spiritual as far as I remember. As a kid, of course, I didn't think about it, that I was spiritual or not, but I was always sort of aware of a non-physical world behind the physical world. And then as a teenager, that got a little further away from me, but at the same time, I had an experience, an out-of-body experience that confirmed completely that, of course, this is just one aspect of reality that we experience here in 3D. Yeah, I was, perhaps you want to hear about it. I was, I think, 15 years old, and I was just sitting in my room. I had my own room, and listening to some music. Creedence Clearwater Revival, I remember that was a little record, and it stopped, of course, because these gramophones these days, they ran out. And then I thought, here I am. And that thought became very strong, that I really realized, oh, I am here. I mean, of course, we're always here, but to be completely aware of it, or to a large extent aware of it, was something that must have triggered something, because the next moment I found myself out of my body from above, about 20 meters or so, and I looked down. There was a roof in between me and the body, but there's no problem. You can just see through it and move through it very easily once you're out of the body. And I had a little look around. I was completely amazed, puzzled. Thought, what is this? And I noticed that I could think. And then I had this thought, unfortunately, gosh, I'm not dead, am I? And that thought made me fall back into my body. And that was not so pleasant, because the body was completely shaking, and that shaking went on for hours on end. Didn't feel comfortable. And now I would say, okay, fine, if it happens again. But then I was afraid it was going to happen again, that I had no control of being in the body or outside of the body. And it didn't happen then. I just stayed in the body, and it gradually became normal again. But nobody needed to tell me that this was just a fantasy or a trick of the mind or so. Once you experience it, you know it's true. It's very, very true. And many people have experienced it by now. But in those days, it was rather unusual. It was not something that you could talk about. Although I did mention it to my mother, but she said, you must have imagined it. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing, you know, to hear those. That was a spontaneous OBE experience, right? As an out-of-body experience.
Yes, yes.
And it just came about because you were lying there, if I understood right.
I was actually
you were
sitting.
lying. You were sitting, but
yes,
completely still, right?
Yes, yes.
for a longer period of time?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Not for a very long time. In those days, I didn't meditate yet. But it was, I guess it was a spontaneous meditation because I did sit still indeed for the duration of that song. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So you already knew that you are a soul indeed with this experience at age
Yes.
15, right?
Yeah, for sure. And before that, I was not necessarily very afraid of death, but afterwards, not at all. I mean, I'm not waiting for it, and I don't like to be victim of an act of violence or something. Of course, I have this natural instinct to stay in the body, which is going to happen. Nothing is threatening me. I'm a powerful person, I feel, and I'm not powerful in the sense that I have power over other people, but it's an inner power that I'm fine. I'm protected.
So tell us about the next milestones. So there was this experience as a child of being sensitive, then this OBE experience you had, and then you lived with Osho, didn't you?
Yeah, that was later, but before, also early, I was a sannyasin, we were called, the followers of Osho. I was 21 when I came into contact with him. I think 22 when I took sannyas. This is what we named becoming a disciple. You got a mala, a necklace with his portrait. Anyhow, but before that, I was in a school dropout. At one point, I was sitting in school during an English lesson, and all of a sudden it dawned onto me, what's happening here? This is no good. My life is going wrong this way. This way I will end up following the rules of society. I will finish school, I will study, I will get a job and a mortgage and perhaps a wife. And anyway, my life is wasted that way. That's very strong awareness. And I'm not saying that people who do follow that path, that their lives are wasted. It was just not my path. So I decided more or less instantly to leave school. And so I did. And my parents didn't like it, and the teachers didn't find it a very wise idea, but I did. I found a little job. I was 16, no, I was just 17 years then. And I made quite a bit of money in a short time in those days for me to be able to buy a ticket to New Zealand, which is on the other side of the world, because I have a lot of relatives in New Zealand. And I went there, and there I worked. And this is the next experience. I was planting trees in the mountains, or anyway, big hills. And I was carrying a heavy bag with little trees, and one by one we were planting them. I was part of a gang of young guys doing this. And at one point, one day, I was doing the same thing, and I reached the top, and all of a sudden I was having a déjà vu, which means you know what it means. It means you have the experience as if you have all experienced it before. And it was recognition after recognition. And this one just went on and on. It went on for a very long time, relatively long time. And I had déjà vus before, but this one I didn't understand. Before I thought that must be a previous life, or perhaps the experience of someone else that I'm picking up that's hanging around here. But at that point, there in New Zealand, I knew for sure that that could not be so, because there had never been anybody planting trees there. There had been a native forest before that they had burned down for this company to plant trees that were for wood production. Not a very beautiful thing to do, but that's what they did. So I knew for sure that nobody had been planting trees there before that way. So it was a completely new experience. And I didn't understand. But then I was on the top of this hill, beautiful view all around. New Zealand is a beautiful country. And then all of a sudden I remembered. I thought, this is I've had a preview of this, like this incarnation before I incarnated. And this is one of the points they showed me. And I was elated about it. I was so happy because I knew not only that I'm in this grand adventure, but also I knew I'm on the right track. I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing. This is a milestone. I reached one. So
Wow. So it was basically a pre-birth memory that you
yes,
had,
yes, yeah.
and this was one of the milestones that was
I
shown
would
to
say that is
you.
one of the milestones. There must be many, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of milestones. But this was one memorable experience, definitely, yes. Yeah. Also in New Zealand, to call another thing, I had a dream and I dreamt something that happened later, a few years later, that I dreamt that I was clothed in red clothes, as we were as sannyasins. Sannyasins being the disciples of Osho. And in those days, we called Osho Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And that I was walking with a woman in red in Amsterdam. And that's exactly the way it happened a few years later. And I even heard my own name, or a name that sounded very similar to the Osho name that I received from Osho later. Okay, that's a little sideshow.
But a very interesting one, if you ask me.
Okay, you're welcome.
But okay, let's just talk a little bit. Like that's an amazing path, and we need to go deeper into all of that. It's very exciting. But what makes your heart sing in the highest tones right now in this very moment here?
All right, just right now, I love talking to you. Yes, this is this moment. That's very clear. Otherwise, if
Awesome.
you take it a little wider than that, I love dancing, very much so. I have to say something about it because this is something that other people can perhaps learn from. When I was much younger, I was in a beach in Israel, not a country I'd like to go back to again, but okay, that's a little. Okay. Anyway, I was on the beach in Israel and I saw a guy dancing there on the beach, like a madman. And he was, and I was jealous because that guy can dance, or maybe he can't dance, but he's moving the way he wants to move. And I thought, yeah, but I'm not like that. I can't possibly do that. Uh, I'm not free enough inside. That will never be me. And lo and behold, of course, that's what I have become. I love dancing. This is also one of the fruits of being a sannyasin. I learned to dance when I was a sannyasin. A lot of things got freed up when I was in this movement where we did a lot of things that made us a lot freer than we were before. Anyway, I love dancing. That is one of the answers. What else do I like? I love being in nature. I love hiking a lot. And maybe most of all, I love to be amongst other high frequency people. Yeah, I think I love that at most. I'm thinking now of demonstrations I attended. There were demonstrations against the government, especially against the COVID measures in the Netherlands and elsewhere, and I attended a lot of them. And the beautiful thing about this is that the atmosphere was very positive because I'm not normally a person who would demonstrate. I've got nothing against it, but not for me. But here I felt that I've got to do this. And most people, actually almost all of us, felt immediately that we had to be positive, that we had to be loving, that we had to not be against, but be firm about what we didn't like and show our own light. And that's what we were doing. And there was this community feeling with sometimes thousands of people. And that was beautiful. That's being amongst other people of high frequency. I mean, not as high as possible, because not everybody was equally awake, but still, I hold good memories of those days. And I'm sure actually that it did have an effect, not because the government as such is afraid of people who are demonstrating, they don't care. They just do their thing. But if a group of people with a high intention, high frequency has a clear thing that they want, it has to have an effect in the material world. So whether they want it or not, it had an effect. I'm sure about that. And it was all over the world that this happened. And that all these people all over the world automatically knew that they should not fight, that they should not be angry, even though, objectively speaking, there was plenty to be very angry about. But they knew, no, that's not the way. That's not the way anymore. That's how we used to do it, but that doesn't work. And also the police, who was instructed to go against us, they had a hard time because we were too loving. We were too nice. They still tried though, but they did some ugly things, but we stayed, we remained ourselves. It was good.
Wow.
But in a
Yeah,
more
so
spirit, yeah, sorry.
no, it's okay. Tell me.
Okay, this was, oh yeah, one more thing about these people is that almost all of them were in one way or another spiritual and not afraid of death. That was a common thing, a thing that most people had in common who demonstrated. So they were not could not be manipulated by fear. Like, you're going to die if you, no. So.
Yeah. Yeah, what I was going to say is like, yeah, you went with your own intention. You did not go to demonstrate against anything. I guess your intention was more like to stand in your power, to shine your light. You went there just to shine your light, and like with this knowing of your innate freedom, kind of. Am I right? Like, am I
Yes.
sensing it?
Yes, well put. Yes. Yeah. Of course we were against, but that was not the
Well, the ego is still alive.
okay, put it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
but
true. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it does what it does sometimes. It can still speak. Yeah. So, okay, this is like a lot to take in. So from thinking about I'm not this person who is able to feel free enough and to feel confident enough in their bodies to be dancing around just the way it goes, however it shows itself, to being exactly this person who is standing in front of everybody and going on with the music and just feeling and sensing it. And also like the change of belief systems that needed to take place to make such a huge jump. So this was, I think, the sum of a lot of milestones that you went through in your life, and you have talked about several already, right? But can we focus a little bit on the part of going to live with Osho and like this year of preparation to become a priest, or what was the name again?
Oh, no, I've never been a priest. Anyway, not in this incarnation.
Kind of
Sannyasin. We were called sannyasins. Is that what you mean?
sannyasins, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, how did that unfold? What was the experience from your end? And did you notice the change in some belief systems that you could maybe explain, and you know, for others maybe to follow this kind of blueprint that you are putting forth?
Okay. What I can do is describe how the process went becoming a sannyasin. The first thing I remembered, or the thing that happened first, was that I saw pictures of people in red clothes in Pune in India. This was the city Pune. That's where Osho had a big ashram, and they were dancing. And these people seemed extremely happy. They radiated from the pictures that they were happy and ecstatic. And you also saw the master dressed in white. And it's about it's the same as when I saw this guy dancing in Israel in the beach. I thought, that is very beautiful. That's what I should do. But of course, I'm not going to do that because I'm not like that. I couldn't possibly do that. I wasn't there yet, but it didn't take so long before I moved there anyhow. I started reading books by Osho, and they really deeply touched me. And then I started, what was an important event was that a friend of mine, of whom I had never believed that he would do it, all of a sudden he had disappeared. Well, not disappeared, but I had been in the US myself, and when I came back from the US to the Netherlands, he was gone. And I asked his parents, where is he? And he said, well, he went to India. Anyway, so he went to Osho. And when he came
He's
back,
already there, dude. You're late.
Yeah, sure. But before that happened, he came back. And when I saw him, I sensed this energy field of Osho and of the ashram in his aura, even though perhaps in those days it didn't think in those terms yet, but it was clearly in his aura. So coming into his presence, I didn't know. Everything fell away. I still have no words for it. It was so strong that I just felt so strongly attracted to go there as well, which at first I didn't, because another part, the ego, played up, and so I didn't immediately take steps. But what I did do is I booked sessions in Amsterdam. In those days, there was a boat in one of the canals where these Osho meetings were being held. And groups were given, growth groups, personal growth groups, and meditation groups, weekends usually. So I booked a meditation weekend, and that was very powerful. That was the first time in my life that I truly meditated and had a beautiful experience. That ball of light came into me, and anyway. I always
Wow.
considered that a beginner's gift, as if they especially gave me, and it happens to others as well, a beautiful, beginner's gift, so that you become hooked, so that you meditate more. So it's beautiful.
The heavens have marketing then.
They, in their own way, they do market. Yes, they want their clients to move up the ladder of
Yeah.
consciousness. Yeah. And then I did an encounter group, which was very powerful. It was led by the leader of the Dutch sannyasins. We called ourselves a Buddha field, the Dutch Buddha field. Buddha field was a community of sannyasins together. And actually, all the sannyasins together, plus Osho, they formed the great Buddha field. There's a field of energy. And that was very powerful. And after that, I did decide, it's time. I can't resist anymore, so I will become a sannyasin. And that's what I did. And I wanted to go to India, but right then Osho left India. So that's another story. But I took
he went
sannyas
to
anyhow.
the USA, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
That's the time. Okay.
So, but I think I've described how it went. And this is something that is important to understand for people for whom this is strange. I had no choice. Actually, I did have the choice. I could have said no, 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 not going to do it. But otherwise, it was like a flow. It happens automatically. I would not have consciously thought that I would be a person to surrender to a master. I thought, no, I'm an independent person. I'm taking my own decisions and nobody's telling me what to do and all that. So, but that all fell away. Just felt, hey, I got to be here. I have no choice. I surrender to it. That's how it happened to me.
Wow. So, and then you went to the USA.
Yeah, that was a little later. First, I did go to India with this friend I was just talking about. And we did go to the ashram, even though Bhagwan was no longer there. And that too was beautiful because there was still a beautiful energy, even though the ashram was very empty, not completely empty, but no longer full of life as it had been before. But yeah, that was a little strange that we went there. But it was my desire to be in Pune that made me go there anyhow. Then later, yes. At first, there was no possibility to go to Osho in the US because we didn't know where he was, which is a little odd, but they didn't make it public. Now we know that he was first in New Jersey and then he ended up in Oregon. And then after a while, it was announced that we could come to Oregon because a great community was going to be founded there and we could all come and live there. And I immediately knew that can't be true. That will not happen because we are not all Americans and this is not going to work that way. We can perhaps visit, but not live there. So that was the first thing that really felt not so good. That was not realistic, let's put it that way. And yeah. So
I love that word. What do you mean by that? Define realistic,
yeah, I know.
please.
It's
Because nowadays it's like, you know, when I say I'm realistic, I'm usually talking about when I'm going to ride my unicorn next time, you know. And that's me being realistic.
Yeah.
So what is it for you?
I heard myself use the word realistic, and I thought that's not very 5D.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, when I'm talking about, you know, what I ate yesterday or what I did or whatever, you know, I always have this voice in my head saying, yeah, well, that was the avatar, you know, the I am was actually living 100 lives at the same time when you were doing that. You know, but we still talk. I was eating dinner when my friend called, right? That's a normal sentence that we use.
Yes.
So how are we going to say it? Like this avatar was eating when the friend of the avatar called. Like
we've got to play the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Please continue. Like, what is your definition of realistic? Like the laws were not it was not legit to stay there. You didn't get the nationality or the permits that you required. That's what you mean by that, right?
That's what I meant. But perhaps we could have overcome that some way. But I guess a better word would be that I felt it wasn't going to happen that way. Yeah.
Okay. As a premonition, basically, kind of.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the reasons I could think of was, of course, that the U.S. authorities would not allow foreigners to just live in the U.S. Forever. Yeah.
So you went anyway.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, that's a long story, even though I didn't stay there for all that long.
Okay, so let's start with how long did you stay?
About a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I came there.
Were you already a Bhagavan by that? No,
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
Bhagavan.
No, yeah, I was a
Bhagavan is
sannyasin,
Osho.
certainly.
You were a
Yeah,
sannyasin
yeah.
already.
But if we go into that, we enter a more negative phase of this whole sannyas business, because in the end, to be honest, Rajneeshpuram, that was the name of the commune in Oregon, Rajneeshpuram, ended up as it was a dictatorship. It was a fascist place. It was very much the opposite of how it had been in Pune. And yeah, what more can I
Wow.
say? Yeah. If you
But
watch
you were not in Pune at that time, but your friend was there.
yeah,
And he could tell you the differences that he noticed, or how did you
no.
know
Okay.
that it was different?
Even though I have not been to Pune 1, we call Pune 1, then you have the period in Oregon. Then there are a few years that Osho is traveling, and then he went back to Pune, and that period we call Pune 2. Now, Pune 1, I missed physically, but
Yeah.
strange enough, I've been there a lot, astrally or in any way. I know it very, very well how it was. I know the energy. I've been there many times.
Astral
Even if,
traveling.
yes, and even if that has not been so, it has been so, but I could tell from all the stories and from the pictures and from, yeah, it's clear how it was. It was not heaven all the time, but all in all, I think the saying is true, as Bhagavan said in those days, you can't find happier people anywhere else on the planet. And I think that was true. I'm sure it was true. I don't know if it's still true, because a lot of people are moving upwards. But in those days, yes, there was a very high energy, and people were invited to really go deep, to do all this, what we nowadays call clearing. So to get rid of all their inner traumas, all the shit that we're carrying from this life and past lives. That was very, very much what we were doing. And in the meantime, you were getting lighter and lighter. And there was free love, and sex was quite easy out there. So it was all streaming and beautiful.
So a lot of freedom, basically. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Whatever you want to share, basically, Gérard, it is your experience.
Yeah, my
It
experience.
is your perception of whatever happened. So whatever you want to share about it, of your experience, even if it's a little bit, let's say, negative, to put a label on it, and whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I could spend quite a long time talking about how it was in Rajneeshpuram. I went there outside of the main periods, because there were big festivals going on. And I think they happened 3 times in 84 or 83, 84, 85 or so, I'm not sure. Or 82 it started. Big festivals where many sannyasins from all over the world came there. And in the meantime, there was just a population of sannyasins, mainly Americans or other people who had permits to stay in the United States. And there were a lot of marriages. Well, not a very sannyas thing to do, to marry, but they married so they would be able to stay in the US. A thing that the authorities didn't like at all. But it happened a lot. And those people who were there in the US legally, they worked, and they were creating this. It was a huge piece of land that I don't know how big, but huge. The ranch, we used to call it. And they were trying to make it a beautiful place. But there was a very strict regime. And there was a woman called Sheila, more and more taking control of everything. And things got to be very rigid. I won't go into details, but almost everybody agrees right now. It's hard to find sannyasins who would say that, oh, everything was fine in those days, even though they might say, and it is true for many people, that they have still felt very high all the time. Yeah. The energy was very high. That I must admit. I've also felt it. Anyway, when I came in Rajneeshpuram, at first I was a little cynical because I had already had this idea that it was not all as good as they told us it was. So I came in cynically, then I felt the energy and I dropped my cynicism and I felt, wow, I mean, this is the center of the world. This is so beautiful. And I was in the presence of Osho. So for a while, I forgot all about that. And then I started seeing, yeah, things that were ugly. I'll tell one thing. There was a big gathering and all the people who were there were asked to come to what was then the hangar. The hangar was the main hangar of the airport. Rajneeshpuram had its own small airport because at that time the big other buildings had not yet been built. So we came together and then children were being called to come on stage. And Sheila held the microphone and these children had to say, they had to tell if they had heard adults or their parents being negative. And and so these children's voices were saying, yeah, my mother said this and that, and my mother that, and she criticized this and this. And then the mother would come forward and she would apologize. She said, I'm sorry, it's so stupid. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but I thought this is the Chinese cultural revolution again, happening here again. This is not how it's supposed to be. And soon afterwards, I left and I felt this is going to collapse, this whole undertaking. And it took a few more years and then it did collapse. And if you want to know more about it, then see a documentary called Wild Wild Country. It's on Netflix, or read books about it. Also, Osho himself, he later denounced the women that were in charge and said that they were a criminal gang and all that. It's not a very nice story. But the most important thing is to remember that the energy around Osho is and was beautiful. Well, is beautiful and is not no longer in the body. And that that goes for most sannyasins, I think, have a very positive memory about this whole thing. I'm myself tremendously grateful that I experienced all of this, because this too, this Rajneeshpuram thing was also a lesson for me. I've grown because of it and other things. It could have made me drop sannyas, as we call it, like saying, I don't want to be a sannyasin anymore. This is stupid. This is ugly. And Bhagavan knows about it. Osho knows about it. Why does he let it happen? But I felt, no, whatever is going on, okay, I can see it for what it is for myself. Yet I feel I need to stay, which is a good thing because afterwards I experience a lot of other beautiful things still as being a sannyasin. And then later, ultimately, after about 10 years, I said goodbye to the whole thing. It's not very much alive these days anymore, not the way it was in the past. Although the ashram in India is still flourishing, I think. But I feel no need to go there anymore. In 1990, Osho himself left his body, so it's a whole different story these days.
Wow. Yeah. So it's a multifaceted story, as I say, like.
Absolutely. Rightly put. Yes.
Yeah, like everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the yin and the yang.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, that's an interesting story. I'm imagining myself, with my kid. She said this word, and then she said that word, and then she followed with this sentence full of those words. I love to use a lot of words, I don't know why. I think it's funny. Most people don't like that. Like there is this belief system of not being civilized or culturally acceptable if you are not using proper words all the time, basically. And yeah, that's something that I just don't follow, kind of.
Very good. What are the things you got to do if you grow spiritually? As they say, you've got to slay the social dragon. So,
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I've heard channelings with Archangel Michael, and he said a word to make a point.
yeah, but I'm saying the
So,
same thing. You didn't say fuck, did he?
yes, it did. Exactly
Oh,
that word.
yeah, right.
The F word.
The F word, yes. Oh
And I
gosh.
was laughing, you know. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, you know. But yeah, you know, I think it's basically this belief system of you are not an academical kind of person, or how would you say it? Like you are not studied, you have no culture, basically no understanding of things, and that's the reason you use those gross words, basically, right? I don't know. I'm like, it can be fun. Like when you hurt yourself, you say this word and then you start to laugh. Why not?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Social conventions are prisons. Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, let's ask your team, let's say your higher self, your guides, whoever works with you, all of those amazing Pleiadians maybe too. I don't know if they have a frequency message activation of some sort that would truly help the collective.
Okay. Yeah, you ask questions if you like. Yeah, but I'll go into it.
So before you do that, can you please explain how it shows up for you? Like, what's your process?
Okay, when I channel, I'm a conscious channeler. I do hear what my mouth is saying, and yeah, that's basically it. And it feels very good. I mean, it's it feels always very loving and uplifting. It's very pleasant to have them to visit me.
And do you remember the message?
Yeah, not everything, but I forget a lot of things. So no, not necessarily everything, no, but I do hear them talk. Yeah,
Okay, thank you very much.
yeah.
So let's welcome them.
All right. I have my eyes closed. I like that. Yes, we are here. You can ask questions if you like.
Hello, dear Pleiadians. Am I right? Are you
Yes,
Pleiadian?
we call ourselves the Deverone Collective. We are 7, sometimes 8 individuals, but we speak as one voice.
So, dear Deverone Collective, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited and thrilled to have you here. Would you please share with us your perception, your perspective on this amazing awakening and shifting consciousness that we are going through right now? Where are we standing?
Thank you for this question. We are so happy to see humanity awaken. We cannot say it's going to happen in this year, that this will happen or that will happen, but there is such movement in the consciousness. It's so much more than it used to be. And so many people are understanding so many things they didn't used to understand. And with understanding, we mean they see things for what they are, things that were previously hidden or simply kept away from the eye. But now all these people see things that changed their idea of how the world is run and what the world is like, and it puts them in a much higher frequency. And more people are getting there. Where are we exactly as humanity? Because we feel very connected to humanity, in a very good position, we would say, but we are not yet there. It will not take a very long time. Absolutely not. It is moving very rapidly, and great events are soon to come. But they have been happening already also. So, as many of you have noticed, the world is so much different now than it was about 5 years ago. Maybe you have more questions and we can focus on that.
So, speaking about the solar flashes that have been increasingly coming into Earth, all of these alignments of planets and all of those happenings that are here to help us. I've also heard that you, the Pleiadian Collective, has been sending also their own energies into Earth. So, and Arcturians also, and a lot of other different helpers of high frequency. What is the role that you're playing right now? What kind of energies are you guys sharing with us? What is it that is your specialty within this awakening?
Wow, what a question. Well, we do send a lot of love. We awaken love in people because we feel this love in ourselves. And as we connect to people, the love that they hold, because all people hold love, is more coming in their own awareness. So that is perhaps the main thing that we do as a collective. And sometimes, as this is not just us, but the wider group of people that we belong to, because we call ourselves people as well. We're very much like you. We do little things that were at first seen as things that we were not supposed to do, because we had to obey by the rule of letting humanity choose and do their own thing and not interfere. But we do interfere a little bit here and there, and we do it more and more. Just a little bit so far, but we're not going to allow humanity to go down the drain, to speak in those terms. There are possible pathways that would lead humanity to disaster, and they're not going to be happening because not only because of us, it's also got to do with the raising awareness of humanity, but where there are really dangerous things, we will simply act and make sure that nothing serious happens. Which does not mean to say that there are not still wars on the planet, but those are, and it may be a little harsh to say so, but they're inconsequential as far as the main route of humanity is concerned. They do have a certain meaning, but they're not going to stop humanity from awakening further and eventually moving into a very beautiful future. So our personal, as a group, objective is to awaken the love in people.
Awaken the love. Wow.
That love that is already there, but let them experience it, let them feel it, let them live it. Because everybody has this love. It's hidden. It is the other side of consciousness. It is just the other coin side of consciousness is love.
So do you guys have a physical body?
Yes, we do. It's a little less dense than yours, but we do.
And how do you guys look like?
We look very much like you. Many of you would call us pretty or handsome, which is how we perceive ourselves, but we're used to it. And we are looking young. so far, no one has asked us this question. So this is an important, or we should say, a funny thing for us to be saying about ourselves.
So you all guys look like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together, basically blonde, blue eyes, and amazingly built.
Blue eyes is very common, yes, and blonde is also what is the dominant color of our hair. And we're well proportioned, I'd say. But don't worry about it. Humanity is also going to get into a better shape than it is now. And it is just a form. The souls of humans living on Earth are as beautiful as our souls.
Am I right that from the fifth dimension upwards, if you have a vessel, a physical vessel, you don't need to age further than 35 years, right?
Yes,
Is that what is awaiting humanity?
Yes, it is. It seems far-fetched, but yes, it is awaiting humanity. Should we add
Yes, please add.
that perhaps not for every individual now living on the planet, but for those that are going in this beautiful direction, yes. And it's available to everybody, but it depends on the individual choices of humans.
So, and as a human, I have a mind, and mine is very funny. So
we enjoy very much.
Thank you. So basically, my question is, what's awaiting humanity is not to further age after the age of 35, for example. And so how does it look like in your community? How do you choose to become a parent, for example? And how do you move forward with it? Because I know that other civilizations, like Octurians, for example, sometimes they merge energies, basically, and that's how a new being of light is born without any physical contact, much unlike us human beings on Earth right now. So could you please share with us what's your process of having children?
Great question. Well, we do it like you do usually. So we do physically mate, and we enjoy it very much. We're sexual beings, and that's the main way of creating new forms of us. But some of us do clone and reproduce themselves. That is another form of reproducing, just cloning, and the consciousness moves from one body into the other.
Wow.
But it's all light. It is lighter. It is not like the heavy energies on the planet Earth. It is just all a little easier. Yes, please.
So the next question would be about your history and our history, basically our shared history of humanity, Earthlings, let's say, and Pleiadians. So I'm guessing we are cousins or something, basically, on a galactic family tree.
Yes.
On a galactic family tree, we are your cousins or something, right? So what is our shared history throughout the history of humanity, basically, which we don't know a lot of? So basically Atlantis, Lemuria, where were you guys? Were you all along here with us? And then the next question would be, are you going to be one of the first races that is gonna come down to Earth and say, here we are, your cousins from the Pleiades?
Yes, the last question, we will be one of the first, definitely. And one of the reasons is that our appearance is very much like yours, so we cannot be distinguished so easily from human beings. In a way, we are human beings, but from another branch of the family. And we actually already, some of us, and more than just a few, already are on the planet and walking around and doing little things. So it's not completely new, but I will first go into this question you asked about the first contact. Yes, we apologize. The connection was a little difficult for a moment. We will be there, but we will be very careful about just showing ourselves. And this also goes for other star races, because we do know that at this very point, there are powerful forces that would use an event like a sudden appearance of us and other star beings as a threatening event, and they would set humanity up against us. And not everybody would fall for it, but many would. So we want to avoid that, and we could perhaps overcome it, but it would create a lot of trouble that is unnecessary. So we do wait until these darker forces that are still present on the planet and still controlling quite a bit, even though they're losing and losing more and more control. Once that has happened, once they've lost more control than they have lost already, we are ready to very openly and to many people show ourselves. And it will happen. It will happen. But it will be a soft event, even though still shocking to many people to realize that humanity is not alone in the universe, which is in our eyes a very, very stupid thought that has been implanted in the minds of many people, that there is no life outside of Earth. Right. The other question about the past, yes, we are families. Here it becomes very complicated, and we as a collective, as that is speaking through the mouth of the channeler, do not know everything about the past. But the Pleiadians, for sure, have played a role in creating humanity. But Pleiadians as such is not one thing. It is a collective of more people and more planets. So it becomes a very complicated story. But there were many races and peoples that were involved in creating humanity. And we are very proud of humanity. And in a way, humanity is is a child of us. And we put our hopes, not that we need hope because we're happy, but our expectations, very positive expectations, we should say, positive expectations that we have about humanity, even though it's been a rough ride and many individual people during their many incarnations have had to endure a lot. We feel that finally it's happening, and this beautiful, beautiful human race is growing even above us and above other races, because there is so much beauty and so much power in humanity, potentially, and it's coming out now. It has been there all along, but dark forces have made it very difficult to almost impossible for humans to access their inner power, the power that they actually hold. But humans are one of the most beautiful and amazing creatures in the universe, in our eyes. Yes, please.
Thank you for this answer. So, when you look at a human being, you see more than the human eye can see. Am I right? Like
Yes.
infrared.
Yes, we see more than, yes.
So am I right if I say that you guys look at us, you can see our physical appearance, the color of our hair, whatever it is, the features. And furthermore, you can also see the aura and all the other energy light beings that are also with us at every moment.
We do see what we focus on. And as human beings, if we see a human being, we just basically get information in the form of energy that means a lot to us. So we know what's going on, we know what's happening, what thoughts are. We do not necessarily focus on the physical appearance. That means little to us.
So you're basically reading the aura, which is also sending out the frequency of the emotion and the thought that we are feeling and thinking at that moment,
Exactly.
Which is basically the law of attraction in movement, right? So which means that if you look at a person, you can see at what level of consciousness this person is vibrating at just by looking at them.
Yes.
And so you know exactly what this person might be attracting, or what are the possibilities, what is resonating at the same frequency like this person. So you basically can read the energy to say, okay, this person might attract most likely this or that because of the frequency this person is irradiating right now, right?
That is very well put. So we have nothing to add. You said it correctly.
Okay, so because like in this human vessel of mine, at least, sorry, I'm asking myself, how can I utilize that? You know, like I'm most likely not going to be able to see it with my physical eye tomorrow, maybe, maybe yes, maybe not. But like, how can you learn as a human being on earth to register this level of consciousness from other beings using your own intuition? Is there something you can teach us in terms of discernment too, you know?
Well, the best answer is, and this is an answer already known to many of your wise people, and there are many wise people on the planet, is that one needs to clear oneself of traumas and things that you may call, we heard this channeler use the word shit, the inner shit. Get rid of it. If you do so, you will become a clear channel, not necessarily a channel of other entities, but a channel of your inner wisdom. And it will, the automatic knowing will be there. It pops up. You will know. It's intuition is a very good word. You automatically know. It does not involve the mind. The mind is a beautiful thing, but not for things like this. There is instant knowing. You're connected to the field, this all-present field of information, and the knowing is there. And discernment happens. So you will know if a person speaks a lie, you feel, you sense, you know, and many of you already do. They have felt it. When they see politicians speak, they know, oh, this is not true. And right, they are. And some other people had another story, and they too intuitively felt, yes, this is true. This person is speaking the truth. So that's the road map that we would advise. Just clear yourself, and we do not necessarily mean you, but in general, people, clear yourself of inner blockages. And inner blockages have been created by lived experiences of or unfelt emotions that have not been expressed. And this is something that also the person that this channeler is close to, called Peter Di Benedettis, also known to you as the interviewer, is very much emphasizing as well. And his wife Tracy does it too. And many other beautiful people do. Clear, 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 he says, and get rid of all the things that are in between you and your divine. And those are traumatic experiences that have not yet been lived through completely, not been felt completely. Once that is done, they're gone. And the beautiful energy automatically fills it if you invite it.
Wow. So now that we're talking about those nasty little words, I would really love to hear your perception on this kind of words then, because for me, it's, as I said, very, very funny to use them. So what is your perception on that?
We do not understand the question.
There are words on earth that are like nasty words, basically. You know what I mean? Like the
Yes.
F word or the other word that the vessel said before, you know, with the S, sh, yeah. So all those kind
Yes.
of words. What is your perception of it? Because for me, it's just fun. It's joy.
That's your answer. It is all with which intention these words are being used. There's nothing wrong with these words. It is the energy behind it and the intention behind it when these words are being spoken that determines the value of these words. So if these words are being used, it can be perfectly fine, but we do not advise. That is not a part of the new humanity, you might say, to speak negatively or with a negative load. Let's put it that way. So, but that is something that many people are already aware of. So, yeah, be conscious of your words, but it doesn't mean to say that there are certain words you better not use. It just depends on the emotional load you're giving it or the feeling you have when you use those words.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are people who can say the word God and they feel awful while saying it because it's so loaded by so many things that they maybe have lived through when they were children while growing up in a religious family maybe, and they grow up sometimes people and don't like the word God. So this can be a loaded word for a person to say, despite of it being just such a divine word. Like it
Exactly.
can carry different energies no matter which word you use. It's about what's in the heart, and if the heart is light or if it's feeling heavy. So thank you, that makes a lot of sense. Is there any parting message that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, we feel so much love, and this is our nature, but especially when we feel connected to humanity, which is our task, which we volunteered for, because we feel very strongly this connection. It makes us happy to do so, to serve. It is not work for us. It is not something that we feel is a duty. It is something very light, but yet something that is very strong. And that is this connection with humanity, with specific individuals more so than humanity as a whole, but that works out to in a positive way in the energy field of the whole of humanity. We feel so much love, and we would like to express that once more. As the channeler himself, we heard him say, we know he has had this experience of when he had left his body of this last previous incarnation, he experienced, he saw that everything is love, even all the things that are termed as ugly or violent or dirty or whatever. That's in the end, the energy behind it is love. That is a bit far-fetched, perhaps, to say right now, but the channeler, the person through whose mouth we use, knows this and likes us to say this. So we say it again, that everything is in the end love. Love is the energy that holds everything together, even though there is no space and no time, so nothing needs to be held together. It is in a way a matter of speaking. We also feel that the channeler is getting a little tired of channeling. So perhaps it is good if we depart, and we do so with a lot of love in our hearts, in our beings, for you, because we very much like you to have asked the questions that you have asked. Thank you very much for that. And for everybody who does see this, love is all available, invited into your hearts, and it's in there already. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deverone Collective. See you next time. Hello back.
Hi. Let's have a drink.
Cheerio. Wow.
I did not really expect you to ask me to channel, but it's perfectly fine that you did.
Yeah, well, they were very talkative and very funny, you know. We were just having a little chit chat, you know.
I think I got most of it. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
this is the thing that I learned when channeling, that you can doubt it yourself, because often they will say things that I agree with, or that I would say as a person. But I learned, don't worry, of course, because it's self-evident, and that's why they say the same things. Not always. I'm sometimes very surprised by what I hear, but yeah, what else can I say? Well,
So how does it work when they are channeling some message through you and you get surprised about the message? Like, what? Is that the way it is? No, really?
yeah.
Tell me more about it. And when, you know, like, how does it work in that moment for you?
If I get into that too much, then I lose the connection. So I'll have to just let it happen. Yeah.
So
Start
basically,
interfering. Yeah.
so you do it basically like one would do it with the ego when it's talking something funny, let's say, that you are like, ha ha ha, okay, that was cool, next. Like you just let it pass it through, like, okay,
Yeah.
uh-huh,
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
There was one
wow.
moment during the channeling I remember where I came in a little bit, and I felt that, and they felt it, and then it was corrected, and it could go on again. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I
can happen.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite like it was the first time that I saw a person recalibrating, you know. So cool.
Thank you.
No, it was not the first time. Yeah, but it's funny though, because it shows up differently for everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I've so far only had once that I wanted to channel for a person, and it just got stuck and it didn't work anymore. just so far only once, luckily. It can happen. Yeah,
Everything is possible, right?
yeah.
So we have been already talking about an hour and 15. I would really like to ask you at least one more question. And this is a question that is so much in my heart. And it is, yeah, basically a visualization kind of, or your way of foreseeing what is about to come. And it's basically me inviting you to close your eyes and go within and feel, sense, think, perceive with your five senses, whatever, with every sense that you have available to you. And open your eyes in the year of 2050
Ah,
and tell me everything that is going on. Take me to this place of yours.
okay. So to me, 2050 is just a number, but it's somewhere in the future, not very far away, and it's going to be a beautiful world, absolutely beautiful world. Anyway, on the timeline that I'm on, I'm sure, because I envision it every day. I mean, this is a beautiful world. This is my reality. So it will become more and more the reality of many people. Um, yeah, details about that world. People will be able to immediately feel if people are authentic, and since people know, and they also sense it about themselves if they're not authentic, and it doesn't feel good. So it basically doesn't happen anymore. People are just honest. Honest is maybe not the right word, but authentic is the right word. They are themselves. They're just showing themselves and others the way they are at that moment. And the next moment they can feel differently. That is one aspect, and that will already make it a very beautiful world. Then there will be abundance, and abundance doesn't mean to say that everybody has $1 billion, but it just means that everybody has everything that they need, and that they can do the things they want to do, that there are no barriers. It's there. There's plenty for everybody. That is another aspect. People will be healthy, and if they're not healthy, there will be natural and good ways to cure whatever needs to be cured. Yeah, and people don't age, probably not at all anymore. I do remember that you asked a question about it to the Pleiadians.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Not getting and anyway, they'll look young, they will feel young. Death is fine, of course. It just means that you do not forever stay in the same body. Okay, that will still happen, but not the way it happens now, because we are not living up to the age that we're really meant to live up to. Because there's so much to learn and so much to do, and it's a shame because you lose a lot of time to be born again. And nowadays, go to school and have parents and all that. You don't want that. Yeah, you're an adult and you want to keep on growing, go forward, and that will be much easier in the future in 2050. What else? There's obviously free energy. It's there already, but they're not. You know what happens? They're not allowing it to be used yet. Also because it can be misused. It's not just a negative thing. I have understood. You're frozen. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the image was frozen for a minute. Okay. So it's not just a negative thing that free energy right now is not available, because it's also because the risk still exists that it's being misused or people can't handle it yet. But it will come. It's there. and it will be free in the end. So energy is no problem, and it's all clean. And that is another aspect. I'm sure I'm forgetting aspects. There will be abundance. The nature will be more abundant than it is now. Animals will be very much part of our lives. And yeah, there will be fewer people on the planet than there are now. Yeah, I mean, that's also part of another agenda, but indeed it is, it would be not a bad thing if there are fewer people on the planet. But it's, okay, that's a personal opinion, forget about it. It's not that there are too many now, but if you ask me how will it be in the future, yes, there will be, I think, fewer people on the planet. Yeah, and of course, very important, we will all know and have regular contact with other star races. That will be a natural thing for us. And we will have basically all a knowledge that we are avatars playing the game that we are playing, even though it's a more beautiful game than many people are playing right now. And so the spirituality will be a natural part of life too. It's a very positive and beautiful world. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know it to be true. Maybe not every detail I just talked about, and I don't know when, but I do know for sure that this is happening in one way or another. And we will be lighter. We will be, as they say, living in 5D. So manifestation of things will be a lot easier. Just if you want something, it's not such a big deal. Doesn't take years. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, survival mode, it's out. Welcome to thriving by being your higher self, basically. And the more you embody your higher self, the better you can manifest, because your words will be in alignment with the universe to create whatever it is that the heart truly desires without the ego attachment or any kind of fear-based belief system. Yeah, thank you. That's an awesome visualization. And I mean, you know, the more we speak about it and we share about it, how we envision our role to turn out, this is how we build it one thought at a time.
Yes, yes. So it's almost a responsibility, a very pleasant responsibility to be as happy as we can be, which is basically, I mean, be as much in a high frequency as we can manage to be, because that goes into the field and it feeds the field, and reality has to adjust itself to that reality, and it's happening.
Yeah, it is happening.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah. So keep shining.
Yeah.
Gérard, please let us know about your work. Yeah, the work that you're doing. And share a little bit of the websites where people can find out more about you.
Yeah, I don't know if you're posting any links under this video. Yeah.
Everything will be posted below.
Okay, so there is another interview of me in Dutch in the link with Peter den Haring, he's called. Then I have written a book, and it's called Mount Parihaka. I've got it here. Wait a minute. Yeah, here it is. I forgot the subtitle of my own book. Oh yeah, Reincarnation and Awareness, Account of the Spiritual Journey. Yeah. Now, I wrote this book 10 years ago, and it's still good because I read it sometimes. No, it's still valid, but I'm about to write another book. It may take a while before it comes out, but because so much happened in the last 10 years that I need to write about it. 10 years ago, it was a different world.
So
Yeah.
what's this book about? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, some of the things I said are in this book. It's the two main themes are reincarnation, my reincarnation memories, especially about my immediate previous incarnation as a German. And I was fighting in the wars, and so of course I was. And the other one is my life as a sannyasin, but also, yeah, my whole spiritual journey up till about 10 years ago. But a large part of it is me being a sannyasin, which is basically from when I was 20 till I was 30 years of age, or 31, 32, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that was one of the themes that I wanted to ask you about, because you started remembering your past lives age 22, and one of them was as a German soldier, which is also mega interesting. So yeah, I would love to have you back and ask you even more about even those things. The reincarnation is also a very amazing theme to dive into. So what is the work that you are doing right now?
Well, officially I'm retired, so I don't have to work for my money, which is not a bad thing. I was a teacher before. I've been teaching German. I did that the last 20 years of my life. And before that, I did all kinds of jobs. I've even been sweeping floors in factories and so on. But anyway, in the end, I did study. I studied humanities and then German, and I became a German teacher, heading the German department at my school in the end. So it was all right. It's a different part of my life. Now, what am I doing now? I'm taking notes for my next book. I'm working a lot in the garden, because we have a huge garden here in France, my wife and I. I give regular meditations every week. I do believe that I've seen you there too, Carol. Yeah, that is on Wednesday nights at 7:30 Central European time. You can add a link if you like for the meditation, because more people are very welcome to join.
Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure I always forget things. What else do I do? But this is something that I'm not necessarily doing yet, but I want to do. I want to bring people physically together here in this part of France to dance together, meditate together. But that takes a bit of organizing, and also getting the music rights to do so here in France is not so easy. Anyway, it's a practical thing that I will solve. Yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting. I read a lot. I love reading. I listen to podcasts, even though I already know about life after death. That's not a question for me, but I still love to listen to other people's experiences all the time. I find it beautiful. Near-death experiences and other people that channel, I also find that interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I think you recognize what I'm saying, don't you?
Totally.
Yeah,
That's me. I love
yeah.
to listen to people's path and stories, and I don't know, it's like I also love like movies, and series. That's the reason, because I'm always like, oh, everything is possible and everything is so fascinating, and wow, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, I do swim every week, and I hike. I can go hiking. Yeah.
But you also offer clearings with the
Oh, yeah,
Becoming
sure.
Awesome team.
Thank you. You're helping me. Yes, I you see, I do forget things. I also offer sessions that you can book with me, and there I can channel for you, and very important, I can assist you in clearing blockages that you may have. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. And you can book it through the site of Peter de Benedetti. So there's a link below this video. Yeah.
Exactly. In the description box.
In the description box, that's what they say, yes. Yeah.
So, Gérard, it's been a joy speaking with you, quite literally, as you have noticed. So I thank you for being my guest. I would really love to talk a little bit further with you about your past lives and the theme of duality, this little separation tool, let's say.
Mhm.
So that could be for the next podcast. And for now, I want to wish you the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Carol.